Okay, for our next topic, I'll be discussing the film and photo developing, na kung saan it is considered as the most crucial part in the preparation ng ating photo or nung tinatawag natin na photograph. So, bakit crucial? Bakit mahirap? So, hindi naman siya ganun overly complicated, pero kaya lang natin nasabi na crucial part kasi kailangan natin na masunod kung ano yung tamang proseso para ma-avoid natin yung pagkasira ng delicate na exposure na na-create natin. Diba? Yung the film itself, once na yan ay na-expose mo na kay light, and then gusto mo nang i-develop to produce a positive print, so hindi siya ganun kadaling gawin, lalo na kung hindi natin alam yung proseso, hindi natin alam yung mga kailangan natin gamitin para makapag-produce tayo or makapag-provide tayo ng mga positive prints natin through the negatives na meron tayo. So, from film, diba, through the use of film cameras, so we are not referring to the digital cameras na kung saan yung storage niya is through USB, through the SD cards, and so on. So, hindi niya kailangan ng film as a medium para ma-record yung image. So, kasi dito sa ating mga film cameras, na-discuss na naman natin yan, we have the film na kung saan kailangan pa nating i-develop si film para lumabas yung kanyang negative or yung kanyang image. From film and expose, we have latent image, and then i-develop natin si film. So, we have now the negative na tinatawag, and through the negative, gagamitin natin si Enlarger to produce a positive image or positive prints ng ating image na ipiprint natin sa ating mga photographic paper. So, medyo komplikado sa paraan na kung saan, kung hindi mo alam kung ano yung procedure or yung process na gagawin mo. So, discuss muna natin yung ating first topic about the photographic processing. So, it can be defined simply as a series of chemical changes that accomplish the following goals. So, we have 5. Sa madaling salita, we have 5 na stages na pagdadaanan ng ating film and the photographic paper in order for us to develop the image, or in order for us para ma-develop natin si film and ma-develop natin si photographic paper at ma-produce natin yung photograph na gusto natin. So, we have 5. Pag-uusapan pa natin mamaya yan. Ito is just an introduction kung ano ba yung stages na pagdadaanan ng ating photographic film and ng ating photographic paper kapag dinevelop natin sila, na tinatawag natin na photographic processing. Again, wherein a series of chemical changes yung mangyayari. So, meaning to say, meron tayong mga chemicals na gagamitin para ma-develop natin si image at makaproduse tayo ng visible image at maging permanente yung image na to. So, first, develop the image. Sabi nga natin, same lang si film, same lang si photographic paper. Kung na-expose natin si film, di ba, kay light, while taking the subject na gusto natin kuhanan, so, nabanggit na naman natin na latent image pa yung meron tayo. So, invisible image pa. Same lang din yan kay photographic paper. Kapag in-expose natin si photographic paper using the Enlarger, latent image pa rin yung meron tayo. Kumbaga, invisible image pa rin yung meron tayo na meron kay photographic paper. So, we have to develop the image para mapalabas natin yung image or yung record natin na image kay film, di ba? And kay photographic paper. And we have specific na chemicals na kailangan gamitin, di ba? Yung developer na tinatawag natin para mapalabas natin si image. Yun yung pinakaunang step natin. We have to develop the image. Kailangan nating palabasin yung image na kinuhanan natin. Pangalawa, stop the action of development at a desired point. So, ang gagawin dito, di ba, we have the chemical developer na nagpalabas kay image. Through this second step, kailangan nating pigilan yung action or yung chemical changes na nadulot nito dun sa ating film or photographic paper. Kasi kapag hindi yun na-stop, di ba, hindi na-stop yung action, maluluto yung ating film. Ganun din na mangyayari sa ating photographic paper. Kumbaga, ma-overly expose dun sa developer natin or dun sa chemical, so masisira yung ating film as well as sa photographic paper natin. So, we have to stop the action of development at a desired point. So, pangatlo, we have to fix the visible image to make it permanent. So, way back naman sa ating history, isa to sa naging problema natin na wala tayong kaparaanan kung paano maging permanent or ma-fix yung image na na-record natin. Kasi nasisira, di ba? O kaya naman na dahil light sensitive pa rin yung film and the photographic paper, yes, na-record natin, pero napapatungan pa rin ang napapatungan dahil na-expose pa rin siya kay light. So, dahil light sensitive, so kailangan natin humanap ng fixer, di ba? The term fixer para ma-fix natin yung image and to make it permanent at hindi na siya maging light sensitive. So, dito sa pangatlong step na to, dahil meron tayong chemical na ginagamit to fix the visible image, kapag in-expose na ulit natin kay light, yung ating developed film and developed na ating photographic paper, hindi na siya light sensitive. Kasi nga, yung visible image na napalabas natin, through the use of fixer, naging permanent na to. So, hindi na siya maapektuhan pa ng light kasi nga, we have the fixer para maging permanent again yung visible image na na-produce natin. So, hindi na siya masisira. Kumbaga, through this third step na kung saan we have this specific chemical na ginagamit para ma-fix yung visible image at maging permanent ito. So, pangatlong step yan. And then, pang-apat, wash away all traces of chemicals used. So, dumaan kay developer, dumaan kay the stop bath, yung pangalawa, para ma-stop yung action. Pangatlo, dumaan kay fixer. So, kung hindi natin malilinis, diba, hindi natin mawawash away, diba, yung mga chemicals na nagamit natin dun sa tatlong stages na yon, possible na masira pa rin yung ating film as well as the photographic paper. So, kailangan siyang malinis pa rin, di ba? Usually naman, sa pamamagitan lang yan ng tubig, di ba? Itatapat kay gripo, hahayaan ng ilang minuto na nakatapat sa ating running water, di ba? Para malinis or ma-wash away yung chemicals na meron tayo. And then lastly, dry the photographic material. Automatic naman yan. Kailangan natin patuyuin para hindi natin masira kasi kakalat yan or possible masira pa or dikitan pa ng mga alikabok and so on. So, yan po yung 5, di ba? Again, an overview kung paano ba tayo nagpo-proseso, nagde-develop ng ating photographic film and the photographic paper. Okay, next. The stages in negative and photo developing. Yung sinasabi natin kanina na si film, ide-develop natin at tatawagin natin negative ngayon. At ganun din si photo developing. So, ide-develop natin si positive prints natin sa ating photographic paper. So, yung diniscuss natin kanina na introduction or yung overview natin to sa stages, isa-isahin natin ngayon. So, first natin na stage is the developing process. Na kung saan yung exposed silver highlights natin, di ba? Si unused film, yung unexposed film natin, in-expose natin kay light, di ba? Pinindot natin si shutter, na-expose ngayon yung silver highlights natin. Nagkaroon ng formation into silver ions, which is latent pa yung kanyang image. Na kung saan invisible pa yung kanyang image. Yung developing process natin, yung exposed silver highlights o yung na-form natin na silver ions na tinatawag is i-reduce into metallic silver. So, meaning to say, ang developing process natin is the process of reduction. From the latent, gagawin nating visible yung image from silver highlights or silver ions na na-produce, i-reduce natin into metallic silver, lalabas yung ating latent image, lalabas yung ating invisible image. Sa unang step, sa unang stage, yun yung gagawin natin or yun yung trabaho ng developing natin. Kailangan nating ma-reduce yung ating silver highlights into metallic silver again para mapalabas natin yung invisible image. And the factors that affects the developing time are the agitation, di ba? Na kung saan kapag tayo is nag-develop, meron tayong steering or meron tayong shaking process na gagawin. The temperature, meron tayong proper or yung given na temperature na maset, di ba? Bago natin i-expose yung ating film or yung ating photographic paper sa chemicals or sa solution na meron tayo. And the concentration of the chemicals and the exposure itself. So, sa ating developing process, meron tayong tinatawag na developer, na kung saan yan yung chemical na ginagamit natin para ma-develop natin si image. Ma-develop in a way na kailangan nating palabasin yung latent image or yung invisible image. So, yan pa lang tayo sa first stage. Palalabasin yung invisible or latent image. And we have, again, the developer as a chemical na ginagamit para magawa natin tong first step or yung first stage na tinatawag natin na developing. So, most all modern developer contain the following ingredient. So, we have the developing agent or yung tinatawag natin na reducer. Sabi nga natin kanina, diba, sa developing process or stage, it is considered as the process of reduction. I-reduce natin sa silver halide crystals na na-expose kay light into metallic silver. That is why nagkakaroon tayo ng visible image from latent to visible image. At yung una nga nating ingredient is the developing agent or yung reducer. So from the term itself, ito yung pinaka-basic and most important ingredient sa ating developing solution. Diba? Si developing agent or si reducer, yan yung pinaka-main ingredient natin again, diba? Para ma-reduce natin si silver halide crystal into metallic silver. O yung pinaka-main ingredient natin sa ating developer na tinatawag. Again, developing agent or reducer, which is usually the methyl hydroquinone. Ito yung pinaka-most versatile and popular, diba, of all developers. Ito yung usually na ginagamit. And again, the reducing agent, siya yung nagre-react kay silver halide crystal para ma-develop natin to into metallic silver. Kasi nga, siya yung pinaka-main ingredient. So, siya yung may trabaho para ma-reduce yung ating silver halide crystal into metallic silver, which forms the visible image. But, if used alone, kung siya lang mag-isa, hindi ganun kaganda yung magiging resulta or hindi ganun kalaki yung magiging epekto nito sa ating silver halide since mababa lang yung rate ng kanyang oxidation. Kaya naman kailangan natin sa pangalawa ng accelerator, di ba? To accelerate, di ba, the oxidation natin. Or yung rate ng oxidation natin, mas mapa-increase natin nang sa ganon, mas mapabilis yung solution penetration. Si developing agent, kung siya lang mag-isa, mabagal yung reaction niya dun sa emulsion layer natin or dun sa ating film. So, kung gagamit tayo ng accelerator, again, mai-increase natin yung rate of oxidation, diba? Resulting to, diba, mapapabilis natin yung solution penetration. Mape-penetrate yung ating film, the gelatin, and the silver halide crystal ng hindi ganun kabagal. Kasi kung developing agent lang or yung reducer lang, mabagal yung kanyang reaction. Or yung chemical changes, hindi ganun kalaki yung mangyayari or yung impact, diba? Mabagal lang kasi, again, or yung mababa lang yung rate ng oxidation if we will going to use the developing agent alone. So we have, again, the accelerator to increase the rate of oxidation, diba? Para mas mapalambot yung gelatin, diba? Yung top layer natin, yung emulsion layer natin, nang sa ganun mas mapabilis yung penetration ng ating reducer or yung developing agent na tinatawag natin, which is the main ingredient para ma-reduce natin yung silver halide crystals into metallic silver at lalabas si visible image. Pangatlo, the restrainer, ang ating potassium bromide. And then lastly, we have the preservative, usually the sodium sulfite or sodium bisulfate. So dahil nga gunamitan natin ng accelerator, di ba, para mas mapabilis yung solution penetration, mas mapabilis yung reaction ni reducer natin or ng developing agent natin sa ating film or sa ating photographic paper, kailangan natin ng panimbang, which is to prevent the excessive oxidation na dulot naman ng accelerator na meron tayo. Dahil kapag naman naging excessive or sumobra naman yung oxidation rate ng ating film or ng ating photographic paper, masisira naman yun. So, parang pangbalanse lang. Okay, next, we have stop bath. It is usually a combination ng water and acetic acid or just plain water. Primarily, its function is to prevent the contamination of the two chemical solutions. So, the developer, and yung magiging fixer natin sa susunod. So, to prevent the contamination, we have the stop bath as an intermediate bath, again, between the developer and then yung fixer na gagamitin natin after ng stop bath. Again, its function is to prevent the contamination of those two chemical solution. Yung ginamit natin sa una, si developer and si fixer para hindi sila maglaban or hindi mag-contaminate yung ating hindi ma-contaminate yung ating film or yung ating photographic paper. So we have three general types of rinse bath. Kaunahan is water rinse bath. So automatic naman, wala nang question, water lang ang gagamitin natin, di ba? Pagkatapos kay developer, lilinisin lang natin or ibababad natin, di ba? Sa ating water to remove the excess developer from the film or sa photographic paper natin to prevent again the contamination ng ating fixing bath na gagamitin mamaya kasi mahahaluan yung ating fixing bath or yung fixer natin kapag meron pa ring developer na natitira dun sa ating film or dun sa ating photographic paper. Water, kaunahan. Pangalawa, acid rinse bath. So, water na hinaluan mo ng acetic acid. And ito po is more effective than water lang. Diba? Kanina we have water rinse bath. Mas effective po kung ang gagamitin natin is acid rinse bath. Diba? As it instantly neutralizes the action of the developer and pinipigilan nito yung further development. So, automatic naman yan. Binabad natin kay developer. Kung hindi natin yan malilinis at may matitira pa rin na developing agent o yung reducer natin, patuloy lang yung pagkaluto o yung pag-penetrate ng ating developer sa ating film at sa ating photographic paper, resulting dun sa continuous, di ba, na developing process. Hindi pa rin nawawala si developer sa ating film, sa ating photographic paper, kumbaga maluluto yung ating film and yung ating photographic paper kung hindi siya idadaan sa stop bath, di ba, na tinatawag natin. And si acid rinse bath is more effective nga kaysa kay water. So, ito po si acid rinse bath. Aside from na linisin natin, di ba, matanggal yung developer, di ba, yung una, developing agent, to remove the excess, it also neutralizes the action of the developer, di ba, na natitira dun sa ating film and photographic paper at mapigilan yung further development. And lastly, we have the hardening rinse bath. So, ginagamit na to na lang when it is impossible to control the temperature ng solutions na ginamit natin, particularly the wash water or when development is done in high temperature or under tropical conditions. So, ito yung ginagamit natin para mas maging effective yung stop bath natin to prevent again yung contamination ng dalawang chemical solution as well as ma-neutralize yung chemical reaction or yung chemical changes na pwede pang madulot ng developer or ng remaining developer natin sa ating film or sa ating photographic paper. So, yan po yung stop bath. From developing, pinalabas si visible image, we have now the stop bath. Lumabas na si visible image, but ang trabaho niya is ma-stop yung action ni developer as well as malinis yung ating film or photographic paper para ma-prevent yung contamination ng dalawang chemical solution. So, ililipat kasi natin yan kay fixer para hindi ma-contaminate si fixer. Diba? Hindi maghalo, hindi ma-contaminate yung chemical solution na gagamitin natin after ng stop bath. Okay, last, the fixation stage na kung saan ito po yung process of removing unexposed silver halide that is remaining in the emulsion layer after the first stage of the development of the latent image. So, diba, ang ating namang emulsion layer na kung saan meron tayong silver halide crystals na nagre-react kay light, sabi nga natin, hindi lahat ng yon is nagre-react kay light. So, merong portion ng ating emulsion layer na kung saan nag-record lang, di ba, dun sa part na yon or dun sa area na yon yung image o yung subject or yung object natin na kinukuhanan through the action or through the reflected lights na galing sa ating subject. So, yung unexposed silver halide crystal, sa madaling salita, yung mga silvers natin na hindi nag-react kay light. So, ibig sabihin wala siyang use dun sa ating develop image. Ang kailangan natin gawin is tanggalin siya. So that is through the fixation stage na kung saan may gagamitin tayong fixer. So ano ba yung dahilan kung bakit natin kailangan tanggalin yung mga unaffected region or unaffected silver halide crystal na remaining dun sa ating emulsion? Diba sabi nga natin, ang silver halide crystal ay sensitive kay light. So dahil unexposed, dahil unaffected, once na ang ating film is dinevelop natin at hindi siya nag-undergo ng fixation stage, ibig sabihin meron pa ring silver halide na natitira doon. So once na iyan ay in-expose again natin kay light, ang mangyayari dyan is masisira yung ating image. Masisira yung ating film kasi meron pa rin natitirang silver halide crystal na magre-react kay light. So dapat dun sa ating last stage, diba, which is the fixation, aside from fixing, diba, making the image permanent, so kailangan automatically tanggalin yung mga silver halide that is light sensitive pa. Again, kung hindi yan tatanggalin, masisira yung ating film, masisira yung ating photographic paper. So next, the fixing bath ingredients. So ano ba yung ingredients ng ating fixer? Kaunahan is the fixer or the fixing agent. So same lang sa ating developer, meron tayong developing agent na kung saan siya yung pinaka-importante sa ating developer. Dito naman sa fixation, we have the fixer or the fixing agent, diba? Na siya yung pinaka-importanteng ingredient ng ating fixer. So, usually siya is a sodium thiosulfate, sometimes called as the hypo or also known as the hyposulfite. Diba? Kung maalala nyo yung history, yung missing link dun sa problema nila, diba? Na hindi nila ma-fix yung image is the hyposulfite of soda. So, sa ating fixer, diba, ngayon din, same lang din naman siya, na kung saan, ang purpose, again, nitong fixer or fixing agent is yung mga silver halide na hindi naapektuhan during developing process kasi nga, unexposed siya. So, meaning to say, hindi siya nag-turn into metallic silver. Ang gagawin natin ngayon dyan is, tatanggalin natin, of course, para wala nang matirang light-sensitive na crystal sa ating film or sa ating photographic paper at hindi na ito mag-react pa kay light once na na-develop at na-fix na. So, hindi na siya magre-react, hindi siya masisira. So, yun yung trabaho ng ating fixing agent or yung fixer na tinatawag. Okay, next is the acid or yung neutralizer natin, which is the acetic acid, na kung saan idinadagdag to dun sa ating fixing agent or dun sa fixing bath na tinatawag natin to neutralize the action of the developer na natitira pa rin dun sa ating emulsion layer. So, once kasi na iyan, automatic yan sa ating developing stage, yung kaunahan. Binabad natin sa developer, di ba, lumabas si latent image, naging visible image. Nabasa na automatic yung ating film, nabasa na yung ating photographic paper. So, yung pores niyan, di ba, yan is swollen, di ba? Yan ay kahit papano, meron pa rin siyang matitira and it will cause, di ba, the continuous action of the developer sa ating film and photographic paper na kung saan nagkakaroon tayo ng mga uneven stains o kaya naluluto pa ng konti yung ating film and photographic paper once na may developer pa rin natitira dyan. So kaya naman hanggang dito sa last stage, which is the fixation stage, ginagamitan pa rin natin ng neutralizer still to neutralize the action ng developer na natitira pa rin dun sa ating emulsion layer. Again, the acid or neutralizer, which is the acetic acid, dinadagdag yan sa ating fixing agent or sa fixer na tinatawag natin to neutralize the action ng remaining developer agent or yung developer itself na naiwan dun sa ating film or photographic paper to stop the action, to stop the further development ng ating film or photographic paper. And then next, the preservative or yung sodium sulfite natin, ina-add din to sa ating fixer as a preservative to prevent oxidation of the developing agent. So, dahil nga fixing stage tayo, kailangan natin totally stop yung action ng developer and then yung oxidation stage niya, yung oxidation rate niya nung una na dapat mabilis yung kanyang penetration ng developer sa film. So now, kailangan nating i-prevent na yung oxidation ng developing agents. So it also prevents the discoloration ng solution and aids in the elimination of stains if ever na meron tayong mga uneven stains na nangyari due to the continuous action ng developer na natitira. So, ayun yung tulong ng ating preservative na ina-add natin sa ating fixing agent. And then lastly, the hardener, diba? During the development, automatic naman yan. The emulsion natin or yung film o yung photographic natin becomes soft and swollen. Sabi ko nga kanina, kasi yan ay basa. So, yung scratching and then yung iba pang bagay na pwedeng makasira sa ating film ay pwedeng mangyari. So, we have the potassium alum na ginagamit, diba, as hardening agent para yung swollen and soft na surface ng ating emulsion layer is ma-harden. Yung possible na maging damage niyan habang yan ay basa pa, maiwasan natin, diba? During the washing process. We have again, the fixing agent, the acid or the neutralizer, the preservative, and the hardener as the fixation or as the fixer or the fixing bath agent natin or the fixing agent natin. So, from developing, pinalabas natin si latent image to stop bath, diba? And then, lastly, dun sa fixation, the fixing of image or making it permanently, diba? Hindi na masira at hindi na maapektuhan pa yung film or yung ating photographic paper once na na-expose kay light. Next is the photography darkroom setup na kung saan si darkroom, dyan po tayo nagde-develop ng ating photograph, ng ating film, diba? Ng ating photographic paper through the use of the enlarger. So, discuss natin ngayon kung ano ba yung mga equipment and supplies sa ating darkroom. So, ano yung setup inside the darkroom? So, we have the wet and dry area and the equipment na meron doon. So, unahin natin ang wet area supplies. Kaunahan na dyan is the trays, diba? These are essential to hold the individual chemicals and water for print development. The trays should be separated slightly so that you can agitate the print by rocking the tray slightly. So, dito sa kaunahan, sa tray natin, or sa trays na tinatawag natin, we are referring to the photographic paper. So, ginagamit natin siya kapag photographic paper yung ating dine-develop. So, ilalagay dyan si photographic paper and then slightly, pwede mo siyang ialog o kaya naman galawin mo siya or hangu-hanguin mo siya gamit yung tong natin. So, kapag naman iyan ay film yung dine-develop natin, meron tayong tinatawag na developing tank na kung saan para siyang can na malaki and then dun mo ilalagay si film natin and then naalog-alogin lang natin din. So, mamaya mali-discuss din natin yan. So, una, si tray. So, dyan po nililipat-lipat yung ating photographic paper kapag tayo is nagde-develop. From developer, meron tayong minutes na sinusunod and then ililipat lang natin kay stop bath and then up to the last kay fixer. So, yan po yung trabaho ni tray. So, next is the chemicals. So, alam naman natin na yan. Yung chemicals na gagamitin natin kapag tayo is magde-develop, kapag tayo ay stop bath na, kapag tayo ay fixer na ang gagamitin. So, depending on whether you develop a color or black and white prints, you will need a different chemicals for each. Pangatlo is the darkroom sink. The prints require running water for the final wash to be sure all chemicals are removed. So, alam naman natin ng sink, kahit maliit na lababo or what, basta meron tayong running water na provided o kaya gripo dyan na magagamit natin for the final wash para ma-assure natin na yung lahat ng chemicals is ma-remove na, di ba? Yung na-discuss natin kanina. At maganda din yung ating faucet, di ba? Maglagay tayo ng filter to prevent particle from the water that might affect the prints. So, habang binabanlawan natin yung ating photographic film o yung ating paper sa gripo, mas maganda na meron tayong filter sa gripo para yung mga ibang mga dumi-dumi sa ating tubig, di ba? Hindi naman maiiwasan na may kalawang or whatsoever yung gripo, matanggal natin kasi makaka-apekto yon sa ating print or dun sa ating produkto or sa ating photograph na tinatawag. So, next is the drying rack. While this can be considered as dry area necessity kasi nga tinutuyo natin of course ang ating film and ating photographic paper, it should be placed near the wet area so that you can quickly hang or set prints on the drying rack without getting water all over. So, mas maganda nga naman na nandun siya malapit sa mga wet area o dun sa sink natin para pwede mo siyang lagyan sa ilalim ng tray na dun papatak of course yung water habang pinapatuyo natin siya sa drying rack. Of course, the drying rack, dyan nakahang, di ba? Tulad dyan, nakasipit dyan yung ating mga photographic film and paper na dinevelop natin. So, para mas matuyo siya ng mas mabilis. Next is the enlarger. Pag-uusapan pa natin mamaya. But this is the essential tool for printing your negatives onto paper. It may also require that you have a tall ceiling as some enlargers have large columns. So, eto si enlarger natin. So, we have our own sa ating school. Ang use po nito, imagine that nandito si photographic paper and then pinoproject natin dito yung image na gusto nating i-print through the negative na de-develop natin. So, yun po yung use ni enlarger natin. Yan yung ginagamit natin para makapag-print tayo ng negatives natin sa paper to have our positive prints na tinatawag. So, yan po si enlarger. Next, dun tayo sa dry area supplies. So, we have the prints EASEL. Yan yung nilalagay natin dun sa board ng ating enlarger na kung saan siya yung nag-hold ng paper, diba? When it is exposed dun sa enlarger natin. It will also allow you to adjust the size of your print on the paper, giving you more option than a standard of 8 by 10 print. So, yan yung ginagamit natin. Iniipit natin dyan yung ating photographic paper, diba? Dun sa desired na sukat natin, diba? Na gusto nating i-print yung ating negative image from the negative para ma-print natin dun sa ating photographic paper sa pamamagitan ng enlarger. So, ayan siya. The print EASEL. So, mamaya madidiscuss pa natin siya. The cupboard or drawer. This will use for your paper and negative so that when the lights are on, the paper is protected from being exposed and ruined. So, sabi nga natin, diba, both film and photographic paper is light sensitive. So, kapag bukas ang ilaw sa loob ng darkroom, ibig sabihin, not in use ang ating darkroom, kailangan pong nakatago ang ating mga films, diba? And other photographic paper na hindi natin gagamitin para hindi masayang. Kasi pag once na na-expose, masisira na ang ating film or yung ating photographic paper at hindi na natin siya magagamit. Kung magagamit man, pangit na yung kalalabasan. So, yan po yung use ng ating cupboard or drawer. Ilalagay natin dyan ang ating mga films and the photographic paper. And then the others, the safe light, which is the color red, diba? Na-discuss na natin yan, na kung saan sa ating visible light or dun sa visible natin na rays, diba? Among the colors, si red po yung pinaka-less, yung energy na napoproduce, diba? Resulting to less damage dun sa ating film and photographic paper. Kaya naman yung red color or yung color red is the safest light na pwede nating magamit sa darkroom. So, again, sa ating darkroom, we have safe light. So, aside from the color itself, so we have, again, the safe light with various degrees of color to match various sensitiveness of papers that will allow you to see in the darkroom without causing harm to your light-sensitive printing paper. So, aside from the color itself na color red, marami rin tayong safe light na meron tayong various degrees of color na pwedeng magamit na nakadepende dun sa sensitiveness ng papers natin. So, next is the darkroom fan and ventilation. So, dapat well ventilated ang ating darkroom, of course, kasi chemicals yung gagamitin mo. A good ventilation will be better for the photographer's health kasi po chemical yung nilalanghap mo dyan sa loob. So, dapat lumalabas yung amoy dyan, lumalabas yung hangin and whatsoever. Prolonged exposing to chemical is harmful naman sa ating kalusugan. So, dapat meron tayong fan and ventilators or yung ventilation natin na tinatawag. So, yan po yung ating setup sa darkroom, which is meron po tayo sa ating school, even the enlarger, meron po tayo. Okay, next. Punta tayo kay photo enlarger. So, ito nga yung tinutukoy natin kanina na essential na equipment para makapag-produce tayo ng photograph from the negative prints na meron tayo, yung na-develop natin na film. ilalagay natin sa photographic paper through the use of the photo enlarger. So, unahin natin, refers to a piece of equipment that projects an enlarged lighted image from a negative onto an easel. So, ito si easel kanina, di ba? We have the film o yung negative na tinatawag natin kasi na-develop na siya, di ba? So, ilalagay siya dyan. And then, magpo-project yung light, di ba? Dito sa ating photographic paper. At magre-reflect, of course, or magpo-project, yung image from the negative natin. So, mamaya madidiscuss pa natin yan. So, all enlargers consist of light source. Automatic yan. Same manner lang kung paano nag-ooperate si camera. Kung gusto nating mag-take ng photo, kailangan natin ng source of light. So, ganun din sa photographic paper, kung gusto, para lang din tayong kumukuha dyan ng image. So, nakatutok yung light dun sa ating film o dun sa negative natin para mag-register naman siya sa ating photographic paper. So, ganun lang siya. So, normally, an incandescent light bulb, a condenser or translucent screen to provide even illumination. So, a holder for the negative or transparency. Ito yung holder ng ating negative, di ba? And a specialized lens for projection. Sabi ko nga kanina, same as with the camera, we have enlarger lens to be discussed later. The light passes through a film holder which holds the exposed and developed photographic negative or transparency. So, we have, again, the film holder na kung saan pinapasok natin doon para mag-project yung kanyang image dun sa ating print easel na mayroong photographic paper na kung saan dun magre-register or dun mare-record naman yung image natin coming from the film or dun sa negative na na-develop natin. So, ganun po nag-ooperate yung ating enlarger, yung ating photo enlarger. Isa-isahin natin ngayon yung part ng enlarger natin. So, we have first the lamp house. Ito siya, which houses the light. Of course, we have the bulb as the source of light na nakapaloob kay lamp house natin, which supplies the required light to expose the photographic paper. Diba sabi natin, ang ating photo enlarger, nagpo-project siya ng enlarged lighted image from a negative onto an easel. At ang source of light natin is nandito sa lamp house. Again, wherein nandyan yung ating bulb supply ng ilaw na, again, na ginagamit natin to expose into the photographic paper. Next natin is the filter drawer, which holds different filters. So, alam naman natin yung use ng filter. It adds a contrast sa ating image na gusto ma-produce, diba? And it is directly in the path of light, making the exposure to the photographic paper. So, naka-line lang din siya dun sa ating negative, na kung saan kapag hinahawakan mo siya, make sure that keep your hands clean and dry, yung filter natin. And kapag nilagay siya inside the filter drawer, yan yung nilalagyan, make sure that they are slightly bent, katulad nun, but there should be enough space dapat para pag binalik mo siya pabalik sa ating enlarger, hindi siya sasabit. Okay, next natin is the lamp house lifting lever and the negative carrier, na kung saan yan, they work together, na kung saan kapag hinila mo si lifting lever, ito siya, makukuha mo rin yung ating negative carrier. So, kapag hinila mo siya, dapat towards your body, and then you have now the negative carrier. From the term itself, dyan po nilalagay yung ating negative. So, yan si negative. Tapat mo lang yung gusto mong i-print. So, exactly dun sa strip na gusto mong ma-print or yung image na gusto mong ma-print, and then ipapasok ulit sa ating enlarger. So, next, the enlarger lens. So dyan siya nakalagay. You can see numbers ranging from 16 to 3.5. So, this resembles the lens and the aperture opening of the camera, which allows more or less light to let in through your enlarger. So, same lang siya. Na kung saan 16 is the smallest opening, diba? And then 3.5 is the largest. Of course, with the most light na pwedeng pumasok. So, stick lang tayo dun sa formula. So, yan, diba? The larger the opening, of course, diba? Mas maraming light ang papasok. And then, the smallest the opening, diba? The smaller the opening, less light lang yung papasok. At, yan ay may katumbas nga na numbers, which is the larger the number, same lang din. The smaller the opening, and then the smaller the number, for example, 3.5, the largest the opening, again, with the most light na papasok sa ating enlarger. So, yan yung trabaho ng ating lens sa ating enlarger. Again, it controls the amount of light na gusto nating i-project sa ating photographic paper. Kung gaano kadaming liwanag or kung gaano kaunti yung liwanag na hayaan nating mag-project sa ating enlarger sa ating photographic paper. So next, we have here the focusing knob. Ito is naka-place dun sa right side ng ating enlarger lens. So we have here again yung focusing mechanism natin ng ating enlarger na kung saan, di ba, dalawa lang naman yung pagpipilian kung in focus ba or out of focus. So as you can notice here, di ba, nakita nyo yung difference na nangyayari kapag pag kinokontrol natin yung ating focusing knob. In here, the light coming is in or out of focus. Maalin lang yan kung focused ba yung ating light that is coming from the source or out of focus. So yun yung trabaho ng ating focusing knob. So kailangan mo lang siyang i-operate. Okay, next is the lamp house locking knob na kung saan you just have to gently release and lock back into the place where you get the height you desired or yung height na gusto mo, di ba? Adjust mo lang and then ilalak mo lang ulit at iwasan natin na hawakan sa lamp house kapag nag-a-adjust kasi mainit yan kasi merong ilaw dyan, may bumbilya dyan, so iinit yan. And of course, para ma-avoid din yung pagkasira ng ating lamp house. So, meron tayong board and meron tayong glass na kung saan yan yung ginagamit natin kapag nagko-contact print tayo. Lalagay lang natin dyan yung film natin, di ba? Ilalapat lang dyan. And then, you just have to open and then to close it very easily and lock into the place. And ibabak natin dun sa baseboard. Lalapag lang natin dyan to make the contact printing. So, ang contact printing again, di ba, ida-direct natin na ididikit yung ating film or yung negative natin sa photographic paper. At kung ano yung size ng ating film, ganun lang din of course kaliit yung ating photograph na na-produce through contact printing. So, direct printing ng ating film sa photographic paper. So, dyan siya ilalagay sa loob, iipitin siya dyan. So, meron pa rin of course projection of light. Kailangan pa rin ng enlarger dyan. And then, the baseboard, pinaka-base natin. And then, the timer. So, kailangan natin ng timer kasi ang exposure time is sinusukat din natin. Kapag nag-expose ka ng photographic paper kay light, diba, to record the image sa ating photographic paper, ginagamitan din yan ng timer. So, meron tayong switch dyan, diba, on the right side, diba, on and off, and then, meron din tayong dalawang hand, parang clock lang talaga siya. One is the setting for the minutes. Yung isa niya is for the setting of seconds. So, another video presentation. Dito siya. We have the negative. Ilalagay natin sa negative carrier and then ilalagay sa enlarger na kung saan we have the lamp house na nag-house dun sa ating bulb na the source of light natin which projects onto the EASEL na kung saan nandun yung photographic paper natin. So, ayan siya. So, we can use a focus finder to check the projected image is in focus. We have also the filter to change the contrast of the prints. So, dyan siya nilalagay. So, the photographic paper is placed onto the EASEL, yun nandyan sa ilalim. And then, we have here the timer again, which is used to measure the exposure time na kung gaano natin katagal i-expose yung ating photographic paper sa projected light na kung saan nare-record na yung image natin dun sa photographic paper. So, ganyan po mag-operate ang ating enlarger. So, now, yung paper mo, photographic paper mo, same lang din yan ng film. Wala kang makikita na kahit ano. You will not see the image on the paper, but your print now or yung photographic paper now is ready for developing process. Yung diniscuss natin kanina na pwede na siyang dumaan dun sa 3 stages, the developing, diba, the stop bust, and the fixation para ma-produce na natin yung photograph or yung positive print natin. So, eto siya. So, assuming again, ayan si photographic paper, ilalagay natin sa printing easel natin, and then open natin si enlarger. So, nag-project na yung light that is coming from the lamp house dun sa head natin, enlarger column. And then, now, ready to print, now ready to develop na yung ating image. So, first stage is the developer. So, ilagay natin sa ating developer. You can use tong. So, para ilubog mo ng maayos yung ating photographic paper para pantay lang yung pagkakababad niya sa ating developer. So, lahat ng portion or area ng ating photographic paper is mapasadahan ng ating developers. And as you can see, diba, lumalabas yung ating latent image to visible image kasi yun yung trabaho ng ating developer. And kailangan mo siya for 1 minute. So, i-agitate mo ng ganyang katagal for 1 minute para lumabas yung image or yung recorded image natin. Diba? From latent, again, naging visible na siya through developing process, diba? Developer, diba? We have the producing agent, which is the developer. So, after nyan, ilipat natin kay stopbot. So, pangalawa, for 1 minute, lilinisin natin, diba? Usually, water lang yan, or meron siyang kasamang acetic acid para ma-stop yung action ng ating developer at ma-prevent yung contamination niya kapag nilagay naman natin sa fixer. Kasi maghahalo ngayon, maglalaban ngayon yung developer natin and then the fixer natin. So, maiwasan yung contamination. So, for 1 minute again, agitate mo lang siya, alog-alog mo lang para mapasadahan lahat yung part ng ating photographic paper. And then now, sa last stage natin sa fixer, the fixing of image to make it permanent, matanggal yung silver halide crystal na hindi naman nagamit, yung unexposed, for 1 minute. So, ganun din ang gagawin. So, through that process sa fixer natin, again, matatanggal yung mga silver halides natin na hindi naman nag-react. Kasi pag hindi yan natanggal, magre-react pa rin yan kay light at masisira yung develop image natin. So, ganun lang po yung ating developing process. So, hindi kung makikita nyo, parang madali lang, pero dun sa preparation ng solution natin, kailangan tayo is sukat na sukat, measured, even the temperature, nagagawin natin yan, diba? Kailangan sinusunod natin yan para hindi masira yung ating print. So, kailangan nating ibabad, or kailangan nating bandawan sa tubig, at least 5 minutes yung kanina. After mong ma-fix, or after mong dumaan ng developing process, linisin mo pa rin siya sa water para matanggal totally lahat ng chemicals na meron pang natitira. So, yan yung gagawin natin. And then, lastly, of course, papatuyuin na natin. So, ilalagay natin sa drying rack para matuyo. And then, you have now your positive prints, your photograph as your end product. So, ganun po tayo mag-develop ng ating photograph. Ganun po tayo mag-develop ng ating film and the photographic paper through the use of the enlarger.